Hi, you guys. It's Mrs. Layus. It's Wednesday, August 26th, and we just had our Zoom check-in at 11 o'clock. If you missed our Zoom check-in, right now you're watching my video because it's English Language Arts time. You will watch me teach another story and lesson and answer comprehension questions. Remember that at the end of this week, you will do an assignment by yourself, showing me that you've learned some skills from watching my videos. So let's go read our passage for today on ReadWorks. It's called Tag I'm It. Remember that you have the option to let it play for you. So I'm going to go ahead and press play. I want you guys to be sure that you are listening, and here we go.
Tag I'm It by W. M. Akers. Tuesday, 12:45. Recess. The game is tag. The stakes are high. There is no time to waste. Ryan said this to himself under his breath, on the edge of the jungle gym where kids played tag. A football fan, Ryan's favorite part of the game was the commentators. Their deep, serious voices made football seem like more than a game. They made it dramatic, like a gladiator fight from ancient Rome. Ryan thought gladiators were pretty cool. When kids on his playground played tag, he pretended to be a commentator. In his deepest possible voice, he took the imagined audience through the ups and downs of the match. Around the corner comes Billy Watkins, he intoned. Billy's having a strong season so far, and those who watch this sport closely think he might be about to step up to a higher level. If he fulfills his promise, his name could stand alongside the greats of the game. Names like Shirley Tompkins and Judy Whitmore, Andy Tobin and George Francis. As he came around the corner, though, Billy Watkins slipped in the mulch and fell on his face. He rolled back and forth on the ground, whimpering. No one showed sympathy. On the other hand, Ryan said, Billy may disappoint us all. Ryan knew something about disappointment. He had time to play commentator because nobody really wanted him to play tag. He'd never understood why, but when he joined the game, nobody would chase him. If he did somehow manage to become it, nobody would run. But he didn't try to play. If he just narrated the game, he wouldn't be left out. He was still playing tag. He was just playing it in a different way. "Hey kid," said a voice behind him. A freckle-faced girl with frizzy pigtails named Angela. A newcomer to the game, Ryan thought to himself. A rookie, hungry for respect. Why aren't you playing the game?" she barked, interrupting his reverie. "I'm playing." "No, you're not. You're just standing over here being weird." "I'm providing commentary for, Ryan tried to think of anything to say besides, "for the folks at home." He couldn't. For the folks at home. "What folks? Are you on the phone or something?" "Just leave me alone." "I can't." "Why not?" "Because I'm it. Why aren't you running? I'm it, and that means you're supposed to run." Ryan shrugged. She poked him in the stomach. "Fine. Now you're it." Ryan froze. He hadn't been it for a long time. He didn't know what to do. The rest of the players stopped too and stared at him. If he moved, would they move too? Or would they stand there waiting for him to quit embarrassing himself and get off the playground? Weirdo," shouted Angela. "This isn't freeze tag. Start running." So he ran the only way he knew how, with narration. Heart pounding in his ears, the frightened young commentator springs into action. he muttered. He isn't sure how. He isn't sure why, but he knows one thing. He is going to get that girl with the pigtails. Quit talking to yourself and run like you mean it, said Angela. He races up the slide and across the footbridge, his target in his sights just a few feet away. The bridge's wooden slats clatter under his feet, sending shockwaves up his spine and into his jaw. Ryan is undaunted. This will be his hour. He reaches toward his foe, stretches out his fingers, and... Ow! Ryan's hands clutched air. He fell face forward, off the jungle gym, landing where Angela had been just a moment before. She had slid down the fireman's pole. He had not been so graceful. Dazed and confused, the young competitor tries to get his bearings. He looks up and sees the face of his opponent staring down at him, looking concerned and curious about why Ryan is still talking to himself. I think you might have broken your brain, Angela said. Ryan's brain is fine. Angela is the one who needs to worry. Why? Ryan leapt to his feet and poked Angela in the stomach. Because Angela is it! Ryan turned and ran, a happy gladiator battling at last.
Okay, you guys, sorry about that. So, we just got done listening to the story. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and read the questions. I know that passage was a little bit longer, but I wanted you to listen to a real story so that we know how to answer some comprehension questions. Here are the questions that you might see in your assignment later this week. What game are the kids playing during recess? Well, that should be an easy one if you've been paying attention. What if you accidentally dozed off during the reading? Remember, you can always click back here and go back to the passage and find the answer. That's the most important skill I am trying to teach you guys as fifth graders, is that when you get a question about what your story or article was about, you have to go and find the answer in the text. All right? That's what we do as fifth graders. What were the kids playing during recess? They were playing tag. Who is the main character in the story? So remember that with characters, there's lots of many characters who are talked about throughout the story. But usually the main character is the person who we might hear from in first person. And who the main character is might be learning a lesson or having the event happen to them. Okay? So Ryan is the main character. And Ryan is the main character because it's coming from first person. You hear Ryan's thoughts. So it's about Ryan. Number 3, read this paragraph from the text. Ryan knew something about disappointment. He had time to play commentator because nobody really wanted him to play tag. But he never understood why. But when he joined the game, nobody would chase him. If he did somehow manage to become it, nobody would run. But he didn't try and play if he just narrated the game. He wouldn't be left out. He was still playing tag, but he wasn't just playing it in a different way. Based on this information, this evidence, what can you conclude about Ryan? So what can we say about Ryan and his character based on the fact that even though he plays tag, he's not really playing because he's just commenting. So being a commentator on a game is like if you're narrating a baseball game. So if you ever listen in or watch sports online, you can hear the person saying, okay, player 1 just passed the ball and player 2 just scored a goal. That's what Ryan is doing as he's watching everyone play tag. So knowing that, what can we say about Ryan? Is it that Ryan doesn't want to play? Is it that Ryan does want to play? Is it that Ryan thinks narrating the game of tag is more exciting? Or is it that Ryan is better at tag than many of the other kids in the game? Well, Ryan doesn't play tag very well because he says that nothing happens when he plays it. Ryan thinks narrating the game of tag is more exciting than playing it. Well, I think that's true because it says he was still playing tag. He just wasn't playing it the way others were. So I think it's C. Oop, it's actually B. Ryan would rather play tag than play commentator. Okay, so B and C are very similar. So do you see how Mrs. Leuse made a mistake? B says Ryan would rather play tag than play commentator, which is true. He also would rather play tag. So that one's a tricky one. Number 4. How is Angela different from most of the other kids playing tag? So remember, there's a character in here named Angela who talks to Ryan and is playing tag. Is she the only girl to have ever played? Does she enjoy running on the playground? Does she not leave Ryan out of a game? Or does she think Ryan is strange? Well, again, a good skill is to go back to the passage and find out. How was Angela when she was playing with Ryan? She was the one who came up to Ryan and said, "Why aren't you playing?" And then she poked him and said, "You're it." So did she include him in the game? I think so. Let's see what the answer is. Yeah, she does not leave him out. She actually includes him in the game. So C is correct. What's the main idea of the story? So think about the overall big idea. What does the author really want you to know? What's the topic? Is it that Ryan is a huge fan of tag but would rather narrate? Is it that he's a huge fan of football? Is it that after being let out of the game, Ryan becomes a tag commentator? Or is it after being left out of a game for a long time, Ryan gets to join a game of tag? What's the overall summary or main idea? It's D, that even though he had been left out of tag for so long, now he gets to join in and play, thanks to Angela. All right, read this paragraph from the text. Ryan froze. He hadn't been it for a long time. He didn't know what to do. The rest of the players stopped too and stared at him. If he moved, would they move too? Or would they stand there waiting for him to quit embarrassing himself and get off the playground? Why might the author have included the 2 questions in this paragraph? What are the 2 questions? If he moved, would they move too? That's question 1. Question 2 says, or would they stand there waiting for him to quit embarrassing himself? Why did the author put these questions in there? I believe, before I look at my answers, that the author did that so that we understand the confusion that Ryan has, that Ryan doesn't really understand and he feels awkward when he plays tag and he's it because he doesn't really know what's going to happen. So let's see which answer most is correct. A, to show that Ryan is asking these questions in his head. Yes. To show the rest of the players are asking Ryan questions. No. The questions were in Ryan's head, so I'm pretty sure it's A. Yep, and it is. Those were questions that were in Ryan's head. He was asking himself. Okay, choose the answer below that best completes the sentence. Ryan wanted to play tag, blank, the other kids didn't want to play tag with him. Which conjunction best makes this sentence sound correct? I want you to try each one. Ryan wanted to play tag, also the other kids? No. Ryan wanted to play tag, thus the other kids? No. Ryan wanted to play tag like the other kids didn't want to play? No. Ryan wanted to play tag, but the other kids didn't want to play tag with him. So the answer is D. Notice how I went through each one to see which one sounded correct. That's what I want you guys to do. Okay, so here come our 3 written answers. And on your assignment later this week, you will have questions that require you to answer with a complete sentence. So I'm just going to do number 8 just to save time. Why does Ryan pretend to be a commentator during the games of tag? I would go back and read that part to make sure that you answer it correctly. Don't come up with your own conclusion. You need to go find it in the text, okay? So when he is being a commentator, he said that he imagined the audience going through the motions of the game. He said that he wanted to be a commentator because nobody really wanted to play tag with him. Notice that's right here. right? So look how I found the answer. Now I know how to answer it here. So you could say Ryan pretends to be a commentator because no one wants to play tag with him. And if he narrates the game, he doesn't feel left out. So notice that the question is asking you to go find the direct answer in the passage and then type it in a complete sentence here. All right, you guys, that's the end of our lesson for language arts. I hope you paid attention. If you're confused on anything, go back and rewatch it. You will have one of these to do on your own later this week. Okay, you guys, talk to you later.